In Word, just like everywhere else, tables should only be used to organize related information. Avoid creating layout tables, tables that are used exclusively for visual effect. You can use borders and columns to create similar results without misusing a table. To create a table, go to the Insert tab of the ribbon, find the Tables group, and expand the Table menu. You can then select exactly how many rows and columns you want your table to have. I'm going to make a very simple 3x3 table. Whenever your text cursor is within a table in Word, the Table Design and Table Layout tabs will become available. Visually, these will be in a different color from the rest of your tabs to indicate that they're contextual tabs. They only appear when you're editing something related to them. I'm going to fill in my table with some example text tracking how many apples and bananas I've purchased and eaten. Now let's look at the Table Design tab and see what selections would be appropriate for this table. In the Table Style Options group is a series of checkboxes that affect the visual style of your table. Before I make any changes, I'm going to expand the Table Styles menu and select a table style. I'll go with this green one. Now I'll be able to see the changes that happen when I toggle different checkboxes. Each of these first 4 checkboxes indicate different conditions where a specific row or column should be styled differently from the rest of the table. The header row box should be checked if your topmost row is a header row. That means that the contents of each cell describes the contents of its column. In the case of my table, this is true, so I will leave it checked. If you're using the latest version of our template, checking the header row box will also pin the first row as the header. First column should be checked if your leftmost column is a header column. That means that the contents of each cell in that column describes the contents of its row. Total row should be checked if your table contains numerical data, and the bottom row contains the total values for each column. You could also use this if you have a different kind of summary data in the final row of your column that should be visually distinguished from the previous rows. Last column should be checked if the rightmost column of your table should be distinct from the other columns. This could contain totals of values from each row. Banded rows and banded columns can be selected to provide easier tracking, either horizontally or vertically, when reading your table. I generally use banded rows whenever my table has a header column, but since my table only has 2 rows of data, I am going to deactivate this. The Table Layout tab has a lot of tools for changing the table dimensions, including inserting and removing rows and columns. In the Merge group, you will find Merge Cells, and Split Table. For accessibility, you should avoid merging or splitting cells in a table in all contexts. The best use of merged cells is within a tiered header, but there is no accessible way to do this within Word. If you need to create a table with irregular headers or any use of merged or split cells, it must be exported to PDF and manually remediated before delivery.